day traders, welcome back to Fides Trading channel, and today we're going to be doing the daily market brief for Tuesday the 14th of October 2025. In these Fides Flows videos, I do a deep dive into the price action behind gold, Nas100 and Us30, giving you a clear roadmap for the trading day ahead. Using high timeframe technical analysis, I identify key zones, momentum shifts, and trend structures. Then combine that with real-time macroeconomic drivers like interest rates, inflation data, and market sentiment. So whether you're a swing trader or day trader, this breakdown helps you understand what's really moving these markets and where high probability setups might form. Some key points to note during this analysis, or some of the headlines rather: gold hitting all-time highs at 4,180 before a drop to 4,090. Recovery from the pivot level at 4,100. We'll definitely be going into that analysis in greater detail. In terms of Nas100, we're seeing massive bearish tone coming into this market. We had a market gap at the week open to the upside, with the indices currently moving bearish again to full set gap towards the 24,000 level. In terms of Us30, we also have a bearish tone there. Price hit the major pivot level at 45,750 with a strong wick rejection, which did create a double bottom formation. In terms of fundamentals, the US government shutdown continues, as well as a focus on China tariffs. Gold hitting all-time high and indices sell-offs also major headlines in the news today. With that, let's move on to the charts. Starting with gold, gold is currently trading at 4,138 with the Asian highs and lows currently at 4,089 and 4,180 respectively, with 4,180 being the new all-time high which was created this morning. Price is moving bearish during the latter part of the Asian session this morning, with a tap at the resistance at 4,180, creating a massive bearish engulfing candle, as we can observe over here. Market directionality nonetheless remains bullish structurally and continues creating the new all-time high. The market is currently in a retracement, seemingly finding support at the Asian lows at 4,089. Also testing the daily high of yesterday right here at 4,116, with price actually pushing back above that daily high level despite breaking below it. We have strong wick rejections here on the 1 hour chart upon the major pivot level at 4,100. But before we get into that, let's go on to the 4 hour time frame. Upon the 4 hour time frame, we can see that this morning we had strong moves to the upside during the beginning of the Asian session, before the correction during the latter part of the Asian session, which did create a strong wick rejection upon that 4,100 pivot level before the subsequent recovery. It does appear that there is some bearish tone stepping into this market, which is fueling sell-offs to some degree, but for the most part we can see that the bullish trend is still very, very much intact and moving with strong bullish momentum. Price currently trading above the 2150-day SMA region, and we are in the overextended territory of the RSI just above 70, which seemingly continues the bullish momentum that we are seeing. On the 1 hour chart, we can see that 1 hour price is, or was rather, moving bearish during that 7 o'clock candle, and we actually engulfed pretty much the entirety of the Asian session move up in the morning. Despite this massive bearish candle we saw, we did have a strong wick rejection to the downside upon the 4,100 level, creating a bit of a spinning top formation at 8 before the subsequent recovery at 9 and 10, which actually pushed the market back within that fair value gap that was created by this bearish candle. So waiting to see whether market holds on to this bullish momentum, or if the fair value gap being filled will actually cause price to fall further down. As it stands in the 1 hour time frame, we are trading above the 21 and 50 SMA. We're trading the bullish region of the RSI after a tap at the 55 level. That being said, there still could potentially be further downside movements. But of course, in this market, anything is possible, and we could just see a continuation of the bullish trend. Preferably, I did not take a long entrance here, and preferably I would like to see price come back down, come within that 2150 SMA region, come within the sweet spot region of the RSI, and from there take a strong trade to the upside. And I'm not sure why my indicators just disappeared. In terms of support levels, market is currently trading above the 4,100 pivot level, which has been tested this morning. We're seeing wick rejections on the 1 hour time frame, as I have mentioned, upon the Asian lows. We just entered the London session now, but it seems like the upside seems to be a bit more muted than we saw with this massive bearish tone. So yeah, waiting to see how this next hour plays out and if the fair value gap is respected. We'll be seeking a move higher based on the levels mentioned, which is necessarily that pivot level and the Asian lows right here at 4,100, 4,090. In terms of the 5-minute time frame, let's just come in here. We can see the 5-minute time frame is a bit choppy at the moment. We can see that strong bearish move has created a bit of congestion upon the indicators for both the SMA as well as the RSI. So for now, tones are muted. We're going to be waiting for further downside potential towards said levels before we look for long positions to the upside. Moving on to Nas100 or US Tech. US Tech moving bearish, currently at 24,498, and seems to be moving down based on the gap at the open of the week. We can see we had a strong gap up from that 24,000 level all the way to 24,440. That being said, we are seeing some wick rejections upon the daily low of yesterday, but seemingly we're looking to fill that fair value gap that was created based on that strong open, that strong bullish open. Currently trading below the pivot level of 24,750. Current daily Asian highs and lows at 24,423 and 24,485 respectively. On the 4-hour chart, taking a look there. 4-hour chart, we seemingly tapped that pivot level at 24,750 before a strong move to the downside, which actually reiterates the bearish tone that we see that stepped in on Friday after the massive sell-off to the downside, which broke all bullish structural levels and seemingly found support at the 24,000 mark. Nonetheless, 4-hour time frame is showing bearish signs. Like I mentioned, we are trading above the 200 SMA, but we are below the 21 and 50-day SMA region, and we are bearish on the RSI, tapping into that sweet spot region, and we are now back below the 45 level on the RSI. So I'm expecting further downside potential, but for that, let's drop into the 1-hour chart. On the 1-hour chart, we are seeing the bearish impulse move, which is currently taking place. Price currently moving below the 2150 and 200-day SMA after that strong bearish move to the downside. Price came back, seemingly retested the region before moving bearish again at the early hours, at the latter part of the Asian session this morning. Price also moving in the bearish region of the RSI below 45. We did tap that overextended bearish level during the gap down on Friday. Seemingly recovered, but further bearish potential definitely imminent here. Noting potential entry for short positions around the 24,750 level. The reason for this is we have a fair value gap here on the 1-hour time frame, as well as a break and retest level, which could potentially be tapped before that move to the downside and before that move to the 24,000 level to fill that fair value gap. Have to wait and see what happens during the course of the day. Let's move on to US30. US30 currently at 45,906, showing signs of bearish price action structure, which actually started prior to the massive sell-off on Friday. We can see we were creating lower highs, kind of respective lower lows, but it seems to have been muted before that massive move on Friday. But nonetheless, it seems a bearish trend started beforehand. Yep, like I mentioned, currently trading above the 45,750 pivot level. We did have a move down, which subsequently recovered at the gap up during the market open on Monday. We are currently within the Asian highs and lows of. Sorry, losing my train of thought there. Yeah, current Asian highs and lows are 45,743 and 46,273, creating a massive daily range to garner profits. In fact, let's actually just measure out that daily range. So daily range we have today is nearly 500 points. So strong daily range to trade off if we get a push to the upside, which seems likely because on the 1 hour time frame, we're seeing a double bottom formation with wick rejections upon the daily low of yesterday, as well as the Asian lows of today and that 45,750 pivot level. Before we move on, let's take a look at the 4 hour time frame. 4 hour time frame currently looking bearish, trading below the 2150-day SMA region, which seems to be having a cross sometime soon. But we are above the 200-day SMA with that strong support level at the 45,750 pivot. So if we break below, definitely going to see some further downside. That being said, we are above the 200-day SMA, and we are bearish on the RSI below 45 after tapping that sweet spot region. Moving on to the 1 hour time frame. Internet's just a bit slow today. Yeah, as I mentioned, on the 1 hour time frame, price moving in an impulse to the downside after a strong push down from the Asian highs at 46,273, which also happens to be a break and retest level. Currently trading below the 2150 and 200-day SMA region and is very much bearish on the RSI below 45. Certainly further downside potential is imminent, but we do need to see some sort of retracement first. I am targeting the Asian high and the daily high of yesterday. So between the 46,180 and 46,273 region for potential short entries. So I'm expecting a push up from the current level towards said level. So about 400 point trade. Could be taking that as an intraday trade. Once price gets to that level, trading all the way to the downside. Taking a look at the VIX. The VIX is currently in risk neutral territory, trading at 21.41 after closing the week at 21.63 following the massive sell-off in the US economy. While there was a subsequent recovery yesterday, the overall tone for the market remains bearish for indices and bullish for gold. Let's take a look at fundamentals for today. Taking a look at the Forex Factory calendar, we can see that today is Tuesday. We do have some news for USD, where Fed Powell is speaking at 6:20. So please be aware of that. That's definitely going to cause some fireworks in the market, because if it's not Trump that's causing massive movements, it's definitely going to be Jerome Powell. So keep your eye out for that. Make sure that your trades are locked in either beforehand or you're trading the back end of the news after he speaks subsequently. Like I mentioned, US government shutdown is still at play, so news is tentative, but it appears that this will be going through. But for the rest of the week, we have tentative news when it comes to the USD fundamental releases. Let's quickly take a look at headlines. Taking a look at some headlines coming out of FX Street, we can see that gold retreat sharply from record highs. Profit taking kicks in amidst risk sentiment. Gold rises according to FX Street data. Gold price forecast, this was yesterday, climbs to fresh record highs above 4,100. So yeah, new tone seems to be a bit of uncertainty. We can see that there is some profit taking due to the massive drop we saw at the latter part of the Asian session this morning. But for the most part, headlines are still focused on the fact that we broke that 4,100 barrier and we just kept on climbing. I mean, damn, we broke 4,000, didn't even have a retracement. Markets just kept shooting. So yeah, gold markets moving wavy at the moment, and headlines definitely focusing on the all-time highs with a moderate tone behind the muted upside potential due to the overextended nature on the monthly and the weekly time frame. If you are interested in checking out my analysis on the monthly, weekly time frame, please check out my weekly analysis that was posted. I believe it was on Sunday. So yeah, check out that Sunday analysis. That'll explain it in further detail. In terms of indices, indices mostly focused on the sell-off. The sell-off that happened on Friday. Let's quickly find some. So yeah, coming back to Nas100, we can see that Wall Street ends sharply high on Trump-China comments, which is good. That was 16 hours ago, though, and we are seeing bearish tone stepping into the market. So we do need to wait for an update on news, and news is everything. Be sure to keep up to date with Trump's Twitter feed as well. I think that is very important because that has been a major market mover over the past 2-3 days. But yeah, with that, that is the analysis for the day. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a little bit more in-depth than I usually do, and I'm working with new formats, so I hope you're enjoying it. In terms of my trades today, I'm definitely still focused on gold, and I will keep out on the Us30 trade that I did mention earlier with that potential for further upside movements before we see a move to the downside. But with that, happy hunting traders, wishing you all the best for the trading day ahead. Cheers.